What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expedia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expedia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expediausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the call center and contact center podcast, where we try to give you some actionable items, take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve the agent experience, hopefully improve the customer experience as well. My name is Tom Laird. I am the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing. Expedia is a 500, 600-seat call center outsourcer located in northwestern Pennsylvania. Super excited about today. I'm excited about a lot of the episodes we do, but I know we've been trying to put this one together for a while. So I think the value add to this episode is going to be extremely high. Joining me today, and again, we don't do too many guests, so it's a pretty cool occasion when we get someone on of this high of quality. And this is joining us is Brandon Knight. He is the VP of Advanced Solutions of Contact Center at Telarus. And Brandon is basically, I like to say, he's an encyclopedia of call center platforms and technology, and really knows all the players in the space. So Brandon, thank you for joining us. Why don't you give a quick intro, maybe explain Telarus a little bit for those that don't really know who that is or what that is or how you guys work?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad because like you said, this is a fun experience. We've been talking about it for a while, so I'm glad to join you. Telarus is known as a partner enablement organization. So partners like yourself. Now, obviously, all partners aren't as skilled in the contact center space as you are, but we help partners identify the right technology for their customers. So we're the ones that have the relationship with all the technology companies, software companies all over the world, and we help bring the right one to your customer. So you do the consultation, you figure out what's right, and we help bring them to the table for you. So that's who we are.
No, very nice. You guys have been an amazing.
No, you got
amazing partner for us as well, and just a great resource. When it comes to certain referrals that do come in, and I know a ton about the space, but to have this is what you live, eat, and breathe, and do every single day. It's pretty awesome, and thank you for joining us. So, a macro question for you, and then I think the most value added here is really to talk about platforms and partners. Okay. But can you just talk about the cloud? I mean, I know we have moved so far from kind of some of the hesitancies that a lot of people have had, right? Moving their contact center to the cloud. Can you, reassure or kind of talk about, some of the things that, where the state of the cloud is now when it comes to security, when it comes to connectivity, those types of things?
Yeah. What's funny, Tom, is that I was that guy. I've been in the business a long time, and I've actually run enterprise level contact centers. And I was the one that when people came to talk to me about the cloud, I mean, I can't show you, but my response to them, but it wasn't a positive one. Right. I was the guy that felt very comfortable because my punch down room was 2 doors down. I could look at the servers, I could touch the wires. I mean, I had the battery backups, so that gave me a level of comfort and security. And it's funny because in a lot of ways, that's probably one of the most insecure environments there is, because it's one point of failure. Something happens to that building, or it's like right. my CEO used to say, if somebody hits our pole out front with a truck, we're done. We had to have physical disaster recovery. So come all the way forward now to the cloud, And the conversation around security in the cloud is so interesting to me because the suppliers that we have in the cloud space now have more time, resources, technology to provide security than any consumer can provide. You're talking to security
Good.
provided,
That's a good point.
in the cloud right now. The steps they have to go through, even the compliances that they have to be assured that they can deliver on. It's just so much. It's just so much more. All the built-in, the data centers, the redundancy, the active. It's comical now. And of course, bring full circle. Whatever fears or thoughts people had about the cloud certainly went away last year because they had no choice. Right? It was either move your
Right.
contact center to
Absolutely.
the cloud or go out of business. So some of them were forced to take on cloud technology. And it's been a positive experience for them. They figured out that, guess what? It really is safe. It's okay. And it's reliable. So it's been a fascinating learn.
It's funny too. I was, kind of the same way. Like I was an anti-work from home guy. We're in the cloud, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I was, from a security standpoint, and not meaning, that the platform could be broken into, but more, our reps and PCI compliance. And
Absolutely.
I learned very quickly, how work from home really could work. So
Yeah.
I hear you. It's sometimes what is it, the mother of invention is necessity, right? When you got to kind of do
Yes,
something. So no, that
exactly
I
right.
appreciate that. Have you seen just as a kind of a follow up to that? Have you seen more purchases, right, or an insurge of cloud technology because of COVID?
Oh,
Like as
absolutely.
2020 been a really big year?
Absolutely. And which is interesting because most people thought, because of the initial response from businesses, that it was going to be a down year. There weren't going to be a lot of technology changes, and that was true. I think for March, April, May of last year because it was a wait and see thing. I think we erroneously thought that COVID was going to dissipate in the summertime when it got hot, and a lot of companies were just biding their time until then. When the summertime came and there was no real change, then companies started making real decisions. Third quarter and fourth quarter last year, we saw huge increases in cloud technology being implemented across the world. Honestly, um, I work with several companies who are even, like I said, they were forced into it then, but because of the positive experience, not only did they realize the technology was good and solid, but they also found out the employees were actually happier. The morale was up. They were actually more engaged than they were when they were. So yeah, they. I think it started third quarter, fourth quarter of last year. It carried over into the first quarter of this year. It's still growing quite rapidly. The adoption of cloud is growing very rapidly.
Yeah, it's you really you almost don't have a choice,
Yeah,
and,
you you
it's crazy
know.
too not to belabor this, but if this was 15 years ago, like I came from an Avaya premise based when Avaya, I mean, that's all there was, right? It wasn't just
Exactly.
Avaya; there was only prem, right?
Yep.
So like it would have been extremely difficult in the in the 90s, right, and even early 2000s if this would have happened. But
Oh yeah.
hey, let's talk about some of the players, and let's do kind of like a Brandon Knight kind of, I don't know, maybe like a little magic quadrant, right?
Right.
Of maybe some talk about maybe some of the established players, right, that you see in the contact center space, and then maybe some of the up and comers or some innovators that maybe we don't hear so much about,
Yeah.
that some of us need to start talking about as well.
Well, I think you can't talk about this space and the established players without talking about Nice and Contact, who recently rebranded to Nice CX1,
Yep.
5.9, right? And you have the stalwart of you like Avaya, which you mentioned. Avaya is actually an interesting case because Avaya is the legacy premises based, been around forever, established, right? But they recently, as I like to say, in my opinion, they recently got it right with their cloud. They've been trying
Right.
for a while, but they recently got it right. Their cloud, their enterprise level cloud product now, I think, is a fair match for their enterprise level premises based product. And the interesting thing about that is it really was a race of them against them, to see if they could produce a cloud product
Right.
that
Right.
their, you know what I mean, that their existing customers would be happy with. They've done that. Nice.
Brandon,
Yeah.
there is so much loyal. I think there's an Avaya loyalty in the space, right?
Oh,
That kind
absolutely.
of went away. Like I was a huge Avaya. You couldn't sell me anything. I mean, we were so pro Avaya, but then as the cloud, obviously that was an issue for them, right? And it seems
Yes.
like like they had their come to Jesus, right? So
Yes, they
they
did.
kind of are coming to put it together.
I think that's exactly what happened. But you're right. There are guys that were, I'm Avaya or I'm Genesis or any of the guys that have been around in the premises based space. And then you had Nice and Contact 5.9 come along, and I'll tell you who's been phenomenal. Nice and Contact has always been the top. I mean, they like to tout. Of course, they're in the top part of the quadrant. We know because of Nice, they're also in the Magic Quadrant for workforce optimization. So they have a lot of things going on. I tell you, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that 5.9 closed ground on them a lot last year and the last year and a
Mm-hmm.
half, and really establishing themselves as a major player, in the space as well. Now, when you move away from those guys, I should say away from those guys, but when you start looking at what else is going on in our space, so many companies came up last year, and I'm not necessarily touting any of them honestly from last year because there were so many companies that
Right.
were just trying to take advantage of what was going on. But I'll tell you, prior to that, UJET is a very very interesting company to me. I like to see when the newer companies learn from what the other companies were doing. Right, so UJET came out with this concept of following interactions versus it's like they took the omni-channel and said, why limit yourself to that. Absolutely love what these guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I give kudos to their leadership because they did what a lot of new companies don't realize you do. Even if you have a sound technology, you still don't have a name, you don't have a presence. So they went out and hired some industry professionals from competing organizations that instantly gave them credibility. Brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. They focus on mobility and some of the new age stuff, so they're good. Edify is another company up and coming in this space. Sharpen, Sharpen is insane with what they're doing. Another UC-CC combination that they really have nailed down, and they package a lot of things together, which makes them good for mid-sized businesses. Edify with their usage based pricing model kind of gives you a little bit of a twist on that. And of course,
Totally right.
we can't ignore not necessarily an uppercomer because of their name, but Amazon stepped into the space, and we're not really
Mm-hmm.
sure how much of a player they're going to be. But it's one of those things you have to look at just because of their name, right? And figure out what's going on.
Right.
We found that
Right.
they're better.
If
Good.
they decide they want to dominate, they're going to, right? It's just they're got to pick what industries that they want to. But absolutely,
Exactly.
that's got to be a scary player for a lot of the organizations.
It is. It is. And it's a name that's out there. I kind of like the way it looks like some of the companies are going about it right now is because Amazon has, certified implementers, just like a lot of the major guys. And I still think right now that's probably the best way to go. Direct from Amazon lacks the support around, purchase and
Mm-hmm.
implementation and ongoing maintenance that we need right now. So it's good to get that from a third party, at least for right now. But good stuff happening. It's good to see that. I mean, it's kind of fun. Look, for us, we've been in this a while, man. And now all of a sudden, because of
Yeah.
COVID, it's like our toys are cool, so that's fun. You know,
Right. No, I think you're right. And the technology is and the things that are coming out from an analytics standpoint, from a WFM standpoint, is pretty cool. Hey, one of the companies you did not mention that I think when I have been referring have been a pretty big player too is TalkDesk.
absolutely,
Um, and
absolutely.
I mean they're probably up. I would say and disagree or agree with me with that in contact 5.9 kind of world where they're starting to play in that space.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because I remember when TalkDesk first came out, the knock against them was they're SMB. They can only do small stuff. They do this, they do that, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to name drop, but we know they landed some pretty big whales, 2019,
Right.
2020. So yeah, they're definitely in that space, and they're another one that did kind of not to the extent of UJet, but when they first came into the space, they went out and hired some big names, some registered names in the channel that are that help them a lot as well. I enjoy what they're doing, and it's funny because speaking of big names in the space, if we're talking about up and comers, there's a lot of these companies that started with niche. I call them add-on technologies. You know, like companies that only do AI or that do quality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're making a splash in our space right now. You know, you talk Observe AI and Smart Action and those guys that are really capitalizing on how AI can change the business. I mean, they're not full blown contact center solutions, but they're an integral part of getting it right. I will tell you that. So,
Yeah, I mean, and they've done a really good job because I mean, you can integrate with anything with this stuff. So that's the
yeah,
the other. It's not just like you got to get this and it only works with this and this. But I mean,
yeah,
I guess in the space now too, even with APIs with things, but there's so many now. It's built in integrations
yeah,
that are making things really cool and really easy for I Brandon, when we were with Avaya, and again, this is all prem based solutions in the 90s. So I'm not
of course.
picking on Avaya, but we needed a huge IT presence, right? From telephony guys and engineers and programmers and screen guys and people that were integrating in our dialer. And so we had this huge, I mean, I at Expedia with 500 to 600 seats, we have about, I'd say 2.5 IT
Yeah.
guys, right?
How
Because it's
crazy is
crazy.
that?
Yeah.
That's
And the
crazy. I
cost
mean,
savings is amazing.
it's amazing, and I've come up, like I said, not picking on Avaya, but I mean, let's face it. Other than like, I mean, they were the only ones around. If
They
you
were the
were running
player,
a
right?
nice size contact center, back in the 90s and early 2000s, and
Yeah.
I remember having an entire team of people, not just in IT. I had a team of people within the contact center that all they did was run reports and change the IVR
Right.
and add agents. I mean, could you imagine that? Like I had a staff, they had an office.
No.
I had an office with a group of people in them
Yeah,
whose
right.
only job was to
They're
make
big
meaningful
salaries.
changes.
Right.
Yeah. It's hilarious to see now, now we're talking enterprise level software that you make changes by clicking and dragging and dropping things. I mean that's unheard
Right.
of. So, but
It's
we've come a long
pretty
way,
cool. And
man.
it's like when we started, we could have never done it. And I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. If we would have started Expedia, because we started as a startup BPO,
Mhm.
there's no way we could have afforded it. Right. And,
Exactly.
kind of the pay how you play model kind of really helped us. And
Yeah,
again, it's a crazy time in a good way.
yeah.
Hey, and I know this is very broad because you just named so many players, but what are the big differentiators? What's the difference between kind of guys that are established to these up and comers, other than not age of company or youth, but why is In Contact or Five9 or TalkDesk? Why are they up here, and what differentiates them a little bit from some of the other maybe more niche players?
Honestly, I think it comes down to customer size and expectation, and really just brand awareness. I think it's only a matter of time before a company like UJet, Edify is up there in that same conversation. I mean, Sharpen is already well on their way because they've been around a little longer. But honestly, I think it comes down to people like yourself matching the right supplier to the right customer. The thing that I will tell you, because
Right.
you already know this, and this is really for your audience more than anyone else, is contrary to what you see in advertising, there is no one size fits all. There is no supplier that is the right number one top supplier for every customer that you're going to come across. So I think that's where you want to figure out I mean, let's face it. We talk a lot about Nice and Contact and them being the top of the food chain, right? When it comes to everything they do together, but there are some companies that simply can't afford it, right? Because of the way it's put
Right.
together. There are some companies that are looking to have maybe some of not all the bells and whistles that come with a nice and contact that they might not use, and then you have Five9 and TalkDesk and those guys. And also, it's where is the technology, right? We talk about Avaya and Genesis and even Mitel, those guys that were premises based around for a long time. Then you have Nice and Contact and Five9 and even Genesis and that first cluster base, I call it a first gen cloud, right? And then you have these guys like TalkDesk and UJet that are microservices, running in Amazon and Google and stuff like that. So even that makes a difference, where the technology is. Do you need compliance? Do you need FedRAMP certification? Do you need outbound dialing? That's a huge differentiator, right? I mean, some of them do dialers, and we know, right? I mean, some of them haven't figured it out yet. So I think those are some of the things you look at when you're picking the right supplier.
Brandon, you hit on something that a lot of people are confused on, and I don't want to get deep into the weeds here, but on a high level, because I know a lot of this is a differentiator in a lot of demos that I do when they talk about microservices compared to kind of the old cluster platform or that type of way.
Yes.
Can you kind of give the audience just a quick, when they hear that, like our platform is built on microservices. Can you just briefly kind of high level talk about what that means?
Yeah, without geeking out,
right, because it can go easy.
I would say when you're talking microservices, you're really talking the way the platform operates. It's not just where it's housed. Everyone knows that the data center, the difference between the data centers are microservices data centers are, like I said, Amazon, Google, they're global. Those guys provide you security and stuff like that versus a cluster of proprietary system where Nice and Contact Five9, they have their own data centers, and they're not the only ones. But so that's probably the first difference that everyone is aware of. The other one would be, how is the information actually sent? When you're talking microservices, everything's broken down into these smaller packets, which means it can be sent faster. If there is an issue, it can be quarantined, for lack of a better word, faster. It can be identified faster. The redundancy is kind of built in. There's no manual switching or calling anyone in a microservices environment because of the way it's designed. If something over here doesn't work, your calls are automatically routed. The level of service that you're receiving, and you're not managing that. That's all being managed by them. And of course,
on the back end.
The integrations, when you're talking the integrations, a lot of the companies that you want to integrate with are running in the cloud. They're running in a microservices environment. So it's an easier, like you mentioned APIs before. I mean, we had to hire professional services teams back in the day. There was no API, if I wanted to integrate with premises-based stuff. Now a lot of these things
you're going to pay.
Exactly. I was the integrator. I had to read a manual and figure it out, or again, add to my oversized IT team, like you said. So it does make it does make a big difference.
Hey, what are some of the things that excite you that you see from some of the platforms and the partners, say in the next 12 to 24 months with, in regards to technology, analytics, AI? Is there anything specific that kind of gets you going to say, wow, this could really change some things? What are some of those types of things that kind of get you excited in the space?
You know what? It's funny because it's something that excites me. I don't know if it excites a lot of people, but and I'm going to use the term loosely because everyone throws out AI, right? And it's a catchphrase, it's a buzzword. Everybody gets excited about it, and everyone's using it in very different ways. And I don't want to geek out. Some of it just isn't AI, but that's not what we're here to talk about. What I do like to talk about as far as what excites me right now is when AI was even first being figured out, it was always on the front end. It was like chat bots or robotic, IVRs and stuff like that. And people were so excited because there's algorithms attached to that. And I like that. Even the ones that are routing the calls to the right place, I like that. What I think is way more valuable is AI that's being used on the back end. AI that's being used to help the agent be smarter, to help the agent find answers faster, to help there's AI that listens to the call, listens to uses empathy, and also can look at the other reasons the customer called and tell the agent, hey, this person filed a claim based on what they're asking right now. They probably want to know about this, and then bring up the right information for that. I think that is going to prove to be way more valuable because that impacts the customer experience way better than a chat bot that has, a few thousand responses depending on what you put in it. So for me, AI that helps the agent is a very exciting thing for me.
Dude, I heart you right now. I mean, because I think that's agent assist for us and for me, and I've talked about it a ton. Is I agree. That's really AI is kind of a misnomer for so many different things, but that's I think going to be the first real piece of it that's going to help. And even we talk here like Bank of America, when we used to be, way back in the day, they would have 7 or 8 different types of upsells or cross sells, and they would flag different things based on some proprietary, algorithm that they use. But now it's going to be done in the AI, right? So customers are going to talk about certain things, and it's going to say, "Hey, why don't you offer this?" And that's one example from a cross sell and upsell. So that's a pretty, again, something that actually impacts the customer experience, probably impacts your handle time, lessens all that, right? And really has a bottom line impact as well, which is, one of the first real tools I think that's going to do that.
Exactly. And it increases the proficiency of the agent, right? You know this from running, people are your most expensive asset, right? They're the absolute best and they're the most problematic in the context of just full transparency, right? So, and we know we have ones that let's say we have these 10 things we want to happen on the call and these 2 upsells we want to happen. I mean, they're human beings. Sometimes they forget. And sometimes even that they say it, some say it differently than others. Some have a better delivery. Using AI on the back end, you can ensure that they're at least all aware of it, right? They can all hear about it. They can all see it. You can pop it up on the screen. So you're instantly increasing the proficiency of all the agents. So it's almost like effectively using AI on the back end, you can make all of your agents as good as your best agent, providing providing the information to your customers.
That's a great way to put it.
That's a big deal. And I kind of wish I'd had it when I was running contact centers. Like you said,
I hear you. I hear you. It's between that and being a BPO, we have to really think through what technology, because we have to get an ROI, right? To at some point to get to invest in this technology. So between that, even analytics now with being able to give real keyword data. So it's not just, sentiment like, hey, our customers are this is the sentiment of our customers. Our agents are doing good, but actually to have marketing data right on trending keywords and things like that. I mean, that's one of the other big things in the space that has just blown my mind and has been a huge value add for our customers as well. So the technology, it just keeps coming.
And it's a good thing for us, right? Because especially in the BPO space, because you're not only tasked with hiring and finding good people, right? Because let's face it, you are the company for a lot of for your clients, right? When a customer calls in, you're an extension of that company. They're expecting a certain type of culture. They're expecting a certain type of customer experience for you to deliver. But let's be honest, a lot of them are also looking to save money, right? That's why they're trying to outsource. It's not all just the customer experience, which of course they want. They want you to be better at it than they are, right? So you've got to be better at it from a people perspective, but you've also got to make really sound decisions from a technology perspective and ensure that you're getting something from it. So I think that's a good point. I mean, these guys have got to. Our suppliers today, especially in this environment, is very competitive, and they've got to come and really deliver an ROI along with all the fancy bells and whistles.
Right. Let's talk about that a little bit. I think that's an awesome lead-in. So, talk a little bit again. I know before we kind of went live here, we kind of talked a little bit about the channel partner space and referral partner and kind of how that works. And again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but explain to people why, if they don't know the space, right? And they know that, I have a 20 seat call center, 50 seat, 150, whatever it is. They know they'd like to change their platform. Maybe they'd like to move to the cloud. Why is using a channel partner and going through like a Telarus, why is that so beneficial? And are there any, I guess, I don't want to say tips, but yeah, I guess maybe some tips or some things that people could maybe take when they are looking to purchase contact center software or maybe an add-on piece to their telephony platform.
Yeah, I think that's great. And actually, let's start by dispelling some of the myths. Right, the first myth, of course, is if I use a referral partner, if I use a consultant, my price goes up. Because this is America. Someone has to be paying for this, right? And that's the first thing. And I think people think that because they don't understand how the suppliers in the channel work, that the pricing is the price, the cost is the cost. There's no premium, ride along or fee assessed to them getting expert advice from someone like you. So that's probably the first thing that they should know. The other thing I will tell you, and this is speaking specifically to customers, coming from someone who's run enterprise level contact centers, literally I've opened up contact centers all over the world, right? And I've run contact centers of 1,000, 5,000, 7,000 seats. I will tell you this with all due respect. You have no idea what you don't know. Okay. And I think that's the first thing as a contact center leader, you have to understand. You don't know what you don't know. And I'm telling you, as someone who was in that space, there's all kinds of things coming at you. There's all kinds of trade shows. There's not a day that goes by where you don't get 15 emails from someone trying to sell you something. So you think you have a pulse on it. And God forbid you go to Google, and start thinking that you can figure out, you can pick a supplier that way. It's impossible. I would say choosing it, use a consultant, use a partner who lives, breathes in this space, that knows not only what's going on for your organization, what's best suited for you. They know everything about the other suppliers that are out there. Most importantly, they know the pitfalls. They know the things to avoid. You as a consumer, you're listening to, and nothing against salespeople, but as a consumer, you're listening to a salesperson whose job it is to sell you something, right? Versus using a consultant whose job it is to go through the journey with you and help you pick the right supplier, and I think that's huge, because all these things sound the same when you're listening to 5 different suppliers, salespeople. All of it sounds the same. They all sound like they can do exactly what you want. They all sound like they're going to save you money, and they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And if you don't have a trained ear or experience in this space, you're unfortunately you're going to pick the wrong one. And I'll say one more thing as a tip. I will tell you that it'll probably surprise most people to find out that about 35, maybe 40% of the consultations that we get involved in are fixing a customer's mistake because they did not use a consultant in the beginning. They were, especially the larger companies. They all think, oh, well, we have 50, we got 100 people in IT, we have a procurement team. We know how to do this. We're going to run an RFI. We're going to run an RFP, which was some of the biggest jokes in the industry. Yep. And they say, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to be able to figure this out. I can't tell you who the customer is because their name is well known, but I will tell you one of the funniest opportunities I was involved in a few years back was a company that was preparing to an RFP. They consulted with a consulting partner that I know, and I helped this partner design the RFP for them. And then they decided, hey, you know what? Everyone's going to respond to us. Thank you guys. We don't need you anymore. They put the RFP out, and I went on and helped other customers. 6 months later, they reached out to that partner again saying, hey, we've had these responses back for like 4 months, and we really don't understand it, and we don't know what to do with it. So they sent the RFP out. They got the responses. But trust me when I tell you, that's not going to help you make a selection unless you have someone that knows how to read it and knows what those responses are and how to differentiate between them. So, and it doesn't cost you.
I think too, Brandon, that's awesome stuff. Yeah, that's and I like how you kind of put some of that stuff even for me in the future to kind of use. That's good. The other thing is, there's always a wish list. Like, so when I'm talking to a potential customer or trying to help, right? They know how their platform is set up right now, right? And the other thing, I think a consultant or somebody with an outside view can be like, well, guys, you could do it this way, and you can add this on or this on, or I don't think you need this. That we can actually probably get the price lower, even getting, things like that you don't even, again, that you don't think about, that I think can, if somebody's eating and breathing in the space, because there is so much out there.
And without a consultant, honestly, Tom, without you, most companies simply duplicate what they're already doing. And I will say this because
exactly.
Every contact center leader knows this. You have an operation running in your business right now. You have technology running in your business right now that you have created Band-Aids for. Your agents have created workarounds for, because you have adopted to whatever you had. The problem with you going out and shopping on your own is you're going to take all of those Band-Aids and patchworks and workarounds, because now they've come standard operating procedure, and you're going to look for a company that simply does that. You're just going to say, hey, these are the things that matter to us. This is how we do business. We want a technology that does this. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that customers make, because when you're making a change to the cloud and you're changing your technology, that's your opportunity to say, not how do we do this now? That's your opportunity to say, how would we like to do this? That's your opportunity to look at other competing companies and say, how are they doing it? What do they do better than we do? That's your opportunity to open up the box and really look at, look for better ways to do things that most people don't do, unfortunately.
No, that's good. That's good. Hey, Brandon, is there anything else? That's kind of the questions I had. I really wanted to dig down like you did on the suppliers. I think that's helpful for people to kind of start to hear some of those names and differentiators. A ton of value here. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or if you want to give maybe your social media, if where people can find you on LinkedIn or anything like that, so we can kind of hook up with you there?
Yeah, absolutely. On LinkedIn, I'm actually LinkedIn, and my tag is MJOFCC. And I stole that from years ago. I was introduced as a keynote speaker. I was introduced as an event, and the host said that I was the Michael Jordan of contact centers. So so that's what my LinkedIn is. It's MJOFCC. I like it. It's stuck. So that's where you can find me. The thing that I would say to your and it's I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I work with a lot of enterprise level customers, and I will say this because we talked about using a consultant. Don't let your pride cost you money. I can tell you as someone who's when I was running contact center operations with thousands of seats, I thought I knew everything I needed to know about my business. I thought I knew enough to go out and make these types of decisions. And I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. I made some mistakes. Some of them were costly. So that's what I will tell you. Don't be afraid to lean on the expertise that's available out there. This is not something you want to do alone. This is a maze, especially with the 100+ suppliers that came just in last year alone. This is a maze, and the best thing you all know the anecdote, right, about the guy down in the well, right, and then his friend jumped down in the well with him. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, we're both in the well. The difference is I was in here last week and I know how to get out." So that's what I would tell people. Go with a consultant that knows the maze. So.
No, I like it. Hey, Brandon, thank you so much, man. This was awesome. I'm glad we finally put this together. I think that, again, this adds a ton of value to a lot of people. So I really, really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have you on again.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Good seeing you. You're doing good work, sir. I appreciate spending some time with you, man.
All right, Brandon. Thank you.
All right. Talk soon.